Hey, Baylor fans, this is your call to gear up with Harley-Davidson of Waco. Whether you're hitting the open road or tailgating at McLean Stadium, we've got the ride to match your Bear pride. Check out our wide selection of new and pre-owned motorcycles, visit our service department, or shop all the latest gear and accessories to show off your Baylor spirit and Harley pride. Visit us today and find your freedom on two wheels. Harley-Davidson of Waco, where Baylor fans never ride alone. Visit in-store or at hdwaco.com. Sic Em Bears.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sic Em Podcast. It's presented by Harley-Davidson of Waco. We are glad you are with us. And folks, my pleasure to introduce to you our guest for this week. It is Ron Sanchez, new associate head coach for Baylor men's basketball. First off, thanks for being here and welcome to Baylor.
No, absolutely, man. It's a pleasure to get to spend some time with you. As I know, we've been in similar spaces in passing, but haven't had the opportunity to share some time together. Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here. And I'm fortunate that you invited me to come into your space. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
We appreciate your time. You are busy. You're always busy. And this has been a busy summer for sure. We'll talk about the World University Games and Baylor representing Team USA. But let's get into your background a little bit. I'm always interested, coaches, when they come in. Your connection with Coach Drew and this staff goes way back, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I think when you have coaches that have similar alignment as far as their purpose and the mission and what we do, we all tend to flow into the same spaces. And, obviously Homer, Bryce and Scott are those individuals that are very similar, to the Tony Bennett, Dick Bennett, Kathy Bennett, So for us, we've always been in the same circles, always, just shared many conversations, Never thought that I would be in Waco working for, Coach Drew, but definitely blessed to have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah. And like-minded, faith-based, I know already about you. You're a man of deep Christian convictions, as Coach Drew and this entire staff is. How much of a part of that was you ending up here?
It was a huge part of it. I would go bolder than that. It's just the main reason. To find alignment in this time in college basketball is incredibly important. A lot of great coaches. There's a lot of different ways to do what we do, but to find an environment that fits you personally, an environment where you can feel that you can be yourself and share what you truly, believe that, your mission in this world is as you journey and impacting young people. It is tremendously fulfilling to be in our space here. And I really didn't know what I was getting into. I heard, but it's one thing to hear about something. It's another thing to witness it, to be a part of it. And it's the one thing that I can tell you to this moment that I've been here that has not disappointed. If anything, I have been pleasantly surprised at the environment that is here, that exists, in this space, in Foster's Pavilion. And I've really enjoyed getting to know Coach Drew better in that space.
Culture of joy is real, with Coach Drew, joy, Jesus, others, and yourself. And you'll find out, if you haven't already, being at Baylor, faith-based university, it just permeates really everything we do here at Baylor.
Yes. Obviously I'm transitioning in. I moved into a new neighborhood, trying to get my kids into school. Today's the first day of school, so we're excited, nervous. But I've met a couple of neighbors that are employees at the university, and met one yesterday for the first time. Nice. Haven't had much time in the neighborhood yet, so kind of meeting people slowly. And the first thing he said, he came up to me and he literally said, I'm so glad that you're here, and I would love to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you. And, without me saying anything, he just said, I just want to know how I can pray for you and your family.
Wow.
I felt comfortable saying it, knowing, and that's the part that I think it's definitely different and special here.
It's a special place. It really is. And you I can tell already, you fit right in. So we're glad you and your family are here. Tell us about your family.
I am the father of two children. I have a high school freshman and a high school junior. Yep. And I am married to an amazing woman named Ron Sanchez, who is a former basketball player, a former basketball coach as well. And it's we have an interesting dynamic because when you're married to a former coach, sometimes I use the word former, but they're still coaching. So my children and I are her team, and she's the head coach. So we're constantly being coached.
Good. And your kids are at Midway High School here.
Midway High School, yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Very good. One volleyball player,
one
football player,
one volleyball player, one playing football. Hopefully, also play basketball, good. We got to find a spring sport as well. So I don't know if it's going to be track, tennis. We're going to find something, but there'll be an activity in the spring as well.
Good. So I know a little bit of the story, and you direct it, but you and Tara met at Indiana. Is that right?
Well, we met in Indianapolis.
In Indianapolis, okay.
Yes.
Not necessarily at University of Indiana.
No, not at the university. We met in Indianapolis working at a basketball camp.
That's what it was,
in
a
Indianapolis,
camp.
yes. Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And now this is according to her.
Yes.
There's two stories. There's two versions.
Yes, always.
Of how
yes.
of how y'all got together. There's her version and your version.
Yes.
Or as you say, there's the right version and her version.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's a pretty good story.
Yeah, it's a great story, and I want to make sure that I don't disrupt anything in our household. So her version is the right version.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I got
definitely.
You.
We did meet at a camp, and it was actually Mark Jackson's basketball camp in Indianapolis, and she was, I think it was a junior in college at the time, just coming back from a major knee injury, and the timing was right. For us to meet, and because of that, now I'm here. We have two beautiful children. She played for Kathy Bennett, who was Tony's sister. That started my relationship with the Bennett family. Started with Dick, and then led into Kathy, and then from there Tony, and Tony's relationship and I and with me has blossomed so much over the years. He's been such a gift, to us, to my family. My children call him Uncle Tony. Nice. He's known them their entire lives so far. His children are like children of mine, love them to death. And Tony is my closest friend. So it's truly been a blessing that Tara and I connected back then in Indianapolis.
Terrific. And your connections with the Bennett family, Washington State, and then, of course, Virginia. Virginia was where you were right before Baylor. But that goes back. Back a while.
Well, I go back to my wife being an athlete at Indiana University, where Kathy Bennett, Tony's sister, was the head coach. Prior to my connection with Dick or Tony, I was friends with Kathy.
Okay.
And would do odd favors for her, while she was the head coach at Indiana. And she introduced me to Dick while he was retired. Never did I think that he would come out of retirement. People go into retirement, you want to come back,
Right.
And he seemed he was playing golf. He was so happy. He was walking the Pacific and the Caribbean in the summers, or, really enjoying his summers, and decided to come out of retirement and then take a job that was really in the abyss of college basketball at Washington State, and invited me to join him and Tony and Mike Heidemann, who was also part of the Drew family, because he was one of Dick Bennett's assistants, and then became an assistant at Valpo before we came to Washington State. So Mike is no longer with us, but a dear friend, an unbelievable man of faith. I still have letters from him in my coaching book, and again, very, very fortunate to have had that connection with the Bennetts way back then.
Right.
So I started with Kathy, then worked for Coach Dick Bennett, and when he retired the second time and Tony took over, then I became Tony's assistant, and that led us to Virginia and so on.
Great story. What's your earliest recollection of either Scott Drew or Homer Drew?
The shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely
NCAA
the shot.
tournament, 98, right?
Exactly.
Nice Drew.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And then the connection it had just grown through the years, hadn't it? I mean, with the Bennetts and with the Drews and you.
And actually, a lot of that, I mentioned Mike Heidemann in this. Mike having that connection as well has helped. We played against Baylor when I was at Washington State here. And played Baylor in Pullman, Washington as well. My first year at Virginia. I'm sorry, my second season at Virginia. We flew here and we scrimmaged Baylor at the old arena. It's
Farrell Center?
At the Farrell Center.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
We scrimmaged there. I remember Mike Tobey was a freshman, a first-year guy. So, again, we've always had, these relationships based on trust. Usually in those scrimmages, you spend time with people that are going to keep everything tight until they're, close to the vest. And I know Tony and Scott have always had a really good relationship as well.
Yeah. Have you always been, or how did the role gravitate toward you being the defensive guy, the defensive coordinator, so to speak?
I think I'm guilty by association, maybe.
I mean, it's a good thing.
Is it? Okay.
I would want to be associated. I mean, with your track record, the teams you've been with, I'd want to be associated with that.
I think that when you are part of, Coach Dick Bennett's tree, you are, even if it's to osmosis, if you want to focus on the offense, you're literally led to the defense, and only because one is married to the other, and they have to exist, well in the same space. If not, they'll disrupt each other. So, the defensive part was only because if you weren't good on this side, it will really impact the other.
Gotcha.
I'll give you an example. If you don't take care of the basketball, it really impacts your defense. Turnovers impact transition defense. So one is married to the other. What is your philosophy on offensive rebounding and transition defense? So those two things have to be married as well to coexist. So things like that really do impact, and they force you to think about the defensive side of the ball. This team runs this type of offense. Well, okay, how does that impact how we defend? And how would we guard this if we were defending it, if it's our offense? So everything was always, kind of connected for us, and it has become a calling card. I appreciate it. I love the passion of it. I've always looked at defense as a skill, not just something that we do. Every drill for us defensively has always been a skill development. It's hard to convince young players that defense is a skill, but we've had so many guys that have had phenomenal NBA careers that got their opportunities because they were great defensively. We always felt that defense will keep you, on the team. Defense will extend your career, and we've had many guys that proved that over the years.
Good. Track record really proves that. I think 11 of 16 years you were at Virginia, 2 stints, top 10 defense in the nation, 6 straight years. Your last 6 years as an assistant, you were top 10 in the nation defensively. 5 years, top 5, twice led the nation in total defense. Those are some impressive numbers.
They were, but we also have really good players.
Nice of you to share that success.
Yeah, and we were also, honestly, those years we were also pretty good offensively as well. Again, back to it, you can be great defensively, not good enough offensively, you can't advance. So, there has to be a balance between the two. But it does take energy, it takes effort, it takes a commitment. You have to almost rule it with an iron fist. If not, there's not that level of buy-in. You have to, hold guys accountable. It is a job that requires a lot of energy, a lot of time. And I'm fortunate that it's something that people think that I do well, and it's brought me here to try to implement some things and to be a great assistant, for Coach Drew, who is an unbelievable offensive coach. And now maybe I can, allow him to have more free time to be even better offensively if he doesn't have to think too much about the other end of the floor.
If we say, your official title is associate head coach, but if we say defensive coordinator, is that fair, or do you like that, or do you not like that?
Anybody can call me what they want.
I hear you.
Not really interested in what the world calls me. I'm only interested in one. But the truth is that it's not a one-man show here. Right. I would caution away from that solely because Coach Nunes and I are working hand in hand together. So if you can call me a defensive coordinator, but then you would have to call us a defensive staff.
Gotcha.
Which would include, Coach Hunt, who's always in our meeting as well when we get down to figuring out some things defensively. And I will tell you that Coach Drew is very involved in it as well. I don't want to, send the wrong message to think that he's not. I mean, he's got his thumb over everything, So we are working in a collaborative way to become the best team that we can be defensively. It's not a one-man effort at all.
Gotcha. Very good answer. I understand where you're coming from there. You are new to Baylor this year, and nothing like jumping in and practicing all summer, and then you guys representing Team USA, as I said, at the World University Games with so many new guys, basically a whole new team. Yeah. Wasn't this a great summer to have a foreign trip and to have those extra practices and the games in Germany?
It's honestly, we're so fortunate that we had this opportunity. And I'll tell you the reasons why. Number one is I'm also part of the new. So I have my own growth and opportunities and things that I need to learn. When you're afforded an opportunity to have shared experiences, there's nothing like it. It's one thing to try to practice and create things in practice, pressure free throws, game-winning shots, end of the game executions out of timeouts. Those things you can try to practice as much as you want, but there's nothing like real life experiences there to help you grow. You could only grow through making mistakes and identifying those mistakes. And it's nice to have made mistakes in the summer, in a tough environment with fans, with a hostile, group behind you, with lights in the building, with music going on, with popcorn in the air. So I think that is the gift of it. For me personally, I had the opportunity to, interact with the staff when it mattered, in timeouts. With 30 seconds on the clock. Not as, because in practice, like, it's a timeout, but it took a minute and a half, 3 minutes, so this is real. And for our players, not having a full roster.
Right.
So we had individuals that got an opportunity that, maybe would not have had the same opportunity during the season. I think the unfair thing about college basketball is that, we only get 2 scrimmages. So you basically get 80 minutes to prepare for your season before the lights come on.
Right.
The NBA has, 3 weeks of preseason games, so you get literally 80 minutes. And if you're a starter, on a team, you're going to play 25 minutes. So 50 minutes to determine whether this guy can get the job done or not. If you were recruited as a reserve, you might get 10 to 15 minutes. So in 2 scrimmages, maybe you played 20 minutes and maybe 30. And then we have to use that feedback to say, okay, these are the areas that we need to address. So it's almost, unfair, but to have played so many games in Europe, now we have a large amount of data, film, and individuals that, maybe would not have had a chance to play, got a lot of minutes. Overseas, and as a staff, we got to bond and spend time together. We had to put game plans in place. We didn't have many practices, so you were with us in maybe a 30-minute walkthrough in a ballroom to prepare for an international team that runs, an offense that will take a couple of practices to try to, really get a grasp on. And guys did an amazing job of being focused, of being, committed to executing details. And wasn't always perfect, but there was a lot of positive in there, for us to tap into.
Yeah. And I'm guessing players learn the chemistry, that comes with playing those games, just the bonding.
Yeah.
To me is a big thing to go on a foreign tour like this. This was sort of a foreign tour on steroids, with all the games, and the length of time y'all were together. But the bonding had to be a big plus.
Absolutely. And it was all basketball bonding because we did not have much time to, do other things. I've been on, there's so many, tours, and you might play 2 games, 3 games.
Right.
I had a tour one time where we were supposed to play 3, we only played 2. And we got a chance to, to visit the Louvre and visit the Eiffel Tower and, spend time in the Mediterranean and on a catamaran and, just really spending time socially getting to know one another. This was, let's get to know each other on the hardwood. Yeah. Let's get to know each other in the film room. Let's get to know each other in the ballroom. let's have a meal together. So we had to create, and this is one thing I've been really impressed with, we had to create, spots for coaches to get to know players. And Coach Drew did a really good job of, kind of dictating, how we were going to get to know our guys. And we did some deep dives, had some really good conversations, some funny, some spiritual, some, life. So I do feel that we got a better understanding of our guys. Me personally, I got to know, guys a lot better. They got to know us a little better, and looking forward to the journey with these guys.
Good. And with an all-new team, to play that many games, 6 games over 8 days is really what you played in Germany.
Yeah.
To have that game experience was just huge.
No, absolutely. And are you counting the exhibition?
Well, and that one too.
Yeah, so that's 7.
Right.
Right. So it was great to, again, just failures. Making mistakes and bouncing back and not, having guys that were too focused on the past and not, helping them just play forward. Don't think about the last mistake. Just let's think about, what's the next play? Let's have a next play mentality. I'm not playing well. I'm not shooting it well. How else can you contribute to the team? How do we serve one another? I'm the best rebounder. How do I do that job? This is my best shooter. I got to get him shots. I'm a great screener. How do I get my best, shooter some shots? I'm a good passer, ball handler. How do we use our talents to really serve the team and do that in a way that is unbelievably humble, that we put the team first, that we put our own individual agendas to the side, for the betterment of the team. And not only that we were representing Baylor, but we were representing the U.S.
That's right.
So overall, it really was a great experience for us.
Can you share one or two main takeaways from that experience? That we'll see on the floor coming up this fall here. Yeah,
I think one was that we need to, as a group, continue to work on our free throw shooting. I mean, it's an obvious one,
sure.
But it's real. And when we as a staff have to create an environment that is hostile, that has consequences, so that when we get into those moments again in Big 12 play, in non-conference play, that we're prepared to make game-winning shots. That was one of the biggest takeaways. Some of the others were more individual based. Do we, who are the guys that we can say, okay, we need a basket and he can go create one? Who is the guy that can take and make a contested shot because maybe he can elevate and rise over someone? And what different defenses have we grasped, because we threw a lot at them in those 20 practices before we left, and what are those areas that we need to improve on so that we can be better? We want to be a man-to-man team, but I feel like the zone really helped us. The game prior to the gold medal game, where I think we gave up 7 points in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, in the stretch there. So because of our zone defense. So how do we marry those two, that they can become, really a power couple, man zone, and can really help us, when we need them.
Good. Very good. I was really encouraged just to see how the team came together, and knowing that it wasn't your full roster. But you guys included the guys, and this Baylor was Team USA, so guys who are not U.S. citizens, they couldn't play for your team. So there were 5 guys that couldn't play, but you kept them engaged and involved, didn't you? By videoing like film sessions and things like that, which I thought was very, very smart.
Yeah, and that's what I was hinting at earlier when I said that Coach Drew really found a way for us to get to know one another. We created, manipulated a space for us not only to include the guys that were out of the country, that stayed back in the U.S.
Right.
into everything. Where we recorded all of our film sessions. We recorded all our team meetings. They got to rewatch those. They watched every game with Coach Hunt here. They were part of the film sessions. So even though they weren't present, they were still involved. Yeah. And I thought that was really, really important for us.
That was smart, really smart. And then you think, you've had
Coach Drew is a smart guy. I'm trying to,
yeah. I agree with you.
I haven't been impressed. I have not been surprised by that.
Right.
So he's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you got the summer, the practice, those games, long trip to Germany, back, and you think maybe a break when you get back. You guys had 2 days off. Then you went back to practice when you got here. Y'all just kept on working, didn't you?
Well, who told you we had 2 days off?
I won't say, but I thought I saw that schedule.
Okay, because he was wrong.
Okay.
Well, unless they count the travel day as a day off, which is possible. No, we got right back to the lab.
Right.
We came home, gave them a day to, kind of get their bearings right, adjust a little bit to the time zone. And it wasn't physical. It was our first practice back was not a physical practice, but we met, we talked about some things and got right back in there and hit the free throw line right away. Yeah. You asked one of the main things, and that was one of them. So we wanted to address those immediately, and the guys did. They embraced it. They admitted, like, it's an area that we have to be better. And they've been attacking it ever since. Good.
Looking ahead, what are your thoughts about the schedule coming up this year and Baylor in the Big 12?
Yeah.
What do you see in the big 12?
Well, I'm excited about the Big 12. This is new. Mm-hmm. I would love to tell you that I'm one of those guys that really looks at the future and tries to kind of dictate what is going to happen. Mm-hmm. I'm not that. My focus is on a day-to-day. What can I do today to serve this team, to serve this staff, to serve every individual that's on the roster, to serve the university, and then allow for the next day to arrive, and then do it again. As a former head coach, you can lose yourself in the future, and tomorrow has enough problems of its own. I literally just focus on today. I know what winning, requires. I don't need to look at the schedule to do that. Sure. I know that the Big 12 is, so many years the best conference in the country, and there's some really good coaches in this league, some really, really talented rosters that have been assembled. Hall of Fame coaches, some of the longest tenured college coaches are in this league. So, for me is, how do I prepare myself to serve this group in this new space, without many mistakes. Mm-hmm. So I am leaning on everybody who's been here, on the staff, primarily. On friends that have coached in this league that may no longer be here in this league, so that I could be the best version of myself for this group.
Very good. Well, it's so great to have you here. I think you're a great fit in every way with Baylor Basketball and Baylor University, and we're glad you and Tara and your family are here, and thanks for being with us on the Sic Em Podcast.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. I hope that you feel that way if I, at the end of the year.
I think I will. I know that I will.
But I'm blessed to be here. I'm excited about what God has for me and my family, and I'm thrilled that this has been the assignment that He's placed before us for this time, and I'm confident that we're here for a reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that is, but I'm excited to find out what it is for sure. That.
Look forward to walking alongside you through that.
Thank you
Coach
so much.
Ron Sanchez, Associate Head Coach for Baylor Men's Basketball. He's our guest on this week's Sic Em Podcast, as always, presented by Harley-Davidson of Waco.